Greetings, everyone. It is Thursday, which means it is time for another Teal Talk. I am so happy to be here. It is Thursday, December 6th. I know that is very hard for me to believe personally. I don't know if you guys are finding it hard to believe yourselves that 2018 is almost over, but I am so glad to be closing out our 2018 lives with this awesome guest that I have with me. It is Ashlee Marie Prisbrey. She is one of my favorite people, and she is an expert in all things video. Ashlee, welcome to Teal Talk.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Thank you so much for coming. Okay, so we're going to be talking all things video. And so, Ashlee, tell me a little bit about your video experience and how you got into video. We were talking a little bit about this before we started the broadcast, but tell us so our viewers can hear us too.
Yeah, so I realized a couple years ago, I've been blogging for 11 years, and a couple years ago, I just realized that I'm never going to be the biggest. And if I wanted to stand out, I needed to do something different that not everybody else was doing or that everybody else would consider doing. And so video just was the best way to go. I went to a ton of conferences, and there was always like one speaker talking about video, kind of doing the whole newfangled thing. And so I spent a year going at all those conferences, going to every video class I could find that they offered and learning. And then I launched my channel and started filming and doing all of that. And it's just kind of gone from there. So
that's awesome. That's incredible that you just decided, hey, I'm going to set myself apart in this way. And then you just went out and did it. I think it's amazing. Okay. Michaela Martins Kinkle says, hi. Marissa Stewart says, hi there. Need to go with video. That is kind of the name of the game with everybody these days. And everyone is saying that, like you're a Mediavine publisher. You know that we've been preaching this for the last year and a half. Why is video such a thing right now?
Well, really, it's just the change in the internet, right? Video is on every single platform now, and every platform is prioritizing video. And so it's without video, you're just going to get left behind. It's just kind of hit that tipping point now. Before it was like, oh, video is this cool thing that's helping. And now with the platforms pushing it as well, it's hit the point that if you're not doing video, you're just not going to continue to grow.
Good advice. All right. So let's start at the beginning, because I think a lot of people, the hands and pans thing was happening for a while, and it was easy to make. And a lot of people were able to kind of get their foot in the door with that hands and pans video. Yeah. Now, in terms of that's kind of gone out of the wave, out of the fashion. And so what do you think? Is that true or false?
I wouldn't say it's gone. It's just changing and evolving.
Okay.
It's like that with every platform. Vlogging isn't the same now as it was 11 years ago. No. Video isn't the same now as it was 2 years ago. Like, everything's always evolving and changing. I mean, think about when I first started, I remember when Twitter parties like were first a thing, and like people spent so much time on them, and now they're not really around anymore. But blogging's not going anywhere, and video is not going anywhere. It's just always going to constantly evolve. So the videos that worked 2 years ago aren't necessarily going to work the same way now. And a lot of that is simply the priorities of each platform. So I actually create 6 versions of every video that I make for all of the different platforms. And that's what you need to consider. So it depends on what platform you're trying to grow in, what type of video you want to make. So there's a place for everything still. I don't think hands and pans are necessarily going anywhere. I just think they're evolving. Yes. So before it was like under a minute. And for Instagram, that still works. That still works great. But now Facebook is really pushing longer videos. They're prioritizing longer videos. And in the change that happened in September, any video under a minute is now going to just die. It's going to die on the vine. Now they want them to be a minimum of a minute, and they'd prefer around 3. So just a change, not necessarily a death sentence.
So how do you get started in video? If someone comes to you and says, I know I need a new video, but I don't know what to do, what do you tell them?
To hire me. The first thing that I tell people to do is to simply just start with what you have. And every time you hit a pain point, that's when I purchase. So I don't tell people that they need to have all the equipment right away, because that's a huge expense. Basically, you're betting, right? You're buying all this stuff. And then what if you hate it? And what if you don't love it? And what if you decide that it's not for you? Then what do you do with all this equipment? So start with the equipment that you have. And then every time you hit a pain point, then purchase that next thing. So don't let it hold you back that you don't have the latest and greatest equipment. I mean, personally, if you look at my equipment list on my page or on my retreat page, it's obviously a little overwhelming because I have a whole production studio at my house now. But that's not how I started. And I would say, don't let it hold you back. You don't want to not start. Like when I started, I took that whole first year studying video and learning everything I could about video and collecting equipment and getting my setup all ready to go. And then I started where if I had just started that first year before, I'd be so much further ahead. And you learn so much by doing that I would have actually learned faster if I had just started doing it. So my biggest advice is to just start. Your first video isn't going to be great. You're not going to love it. But if you hold yourself back until you're perfect, you're never going to start and you'll always be behind. And when you finally do start, you'll learn so fast, you'll wish you'd started sooner. So take what you have, start now with the end goal of what you want it to look like.
Excellent.
And know what platform you want to work towards. Because if you try to do everything in one video, it's not going to work. That's why I make 6 different videos. Each platform wants such a different thing that pick one platform and focus on that and play to that and play the game for that platform and then expand as you get more comfortable.
Where do you recommend people starting?
Well, if it depends on what their goal is. If their goal is money, then start with videos that they can put on their ad network. If their goal is, it just really depends on what your goals are. For me, I'm a huge pusher. My platform is YouTube. It's the second largest search engine in the world. It helps with the first search engine in the world. It's only going to do good things on your blog. But I know it overwhelms a lot of people to get into that. But also my whole goal and my whole focus is a teacher. I don't just like making food. I like teaching people about food. I want one of my number one videos is tips and tricks for the perfect cheesecake, because it's not about the cheesecake recipe, although there's one in the video. It's really about the tips for making any cheesecake recipe better. And so I'm the whole teach Amanda Fish. So my goal is education. And so YouTube is the perfect platform for me because the audience on YouTube wants to learn. They're looking for education. 72% of searches on YouTube start with how to. YouTube just announced a couple months ago, they're putting $20 million into growing their how-to market. And so that's, for me, that's my goal platform. That's my main platform. All the other videos that filter off of that for me are just bonus. That's my choice. So it really depends on what you're looking to do. If you're not really caring about education, you're just looking to offer videos to sponsors, then Facebook videos are still a great way to go. You just know what Facebook is looking for, so you can tweak it to go that way. And then you don't have to stress yourself out about the other kinds, because Facebook platform is not about education. It's about entertainment. So it just kind of depends.
So do we have a list somewhere that you can share that shows what all of these platforms are looking for in their videos?
I don't really have a list. I'm working on an e-course to go along with my retreat that I throw, 3-day hands-on retreat, teaching all of this stuff. But just ask. I don't think any of it's a big secret what each platform is looking for. Really, if you go into the analytics of any platform, they're going to show you what they want by showing you what the most important analytic is for them. That first analytic that shows up in the back end, that's what's important to them. So like on YouTube, if you go over, you're going to see watch time is the number one analytic that they're looking for. They want people on platform. And honestly, I think what platform doesn't?
True.
So at the end of the day, it's about looking at what that audience is looking for. Because if you try to put Facebook videos on YouTube, you're not going to grow YouTube. If you're putting YouTube videos on Facebook, thus far, you're not going to grow Facebook. Now, Facebook's trying to change that, but them trying to force that is not necessarily the same thing as what people are actually looking for.
Right. Okay, so equipment to start out with. Can you just start out with the phone?
Yes, you can. You just need to know the limitation of any piece of equipment that you have. So the limitation on the phone is that you're not going to get any depth of field. So if I'm a big fan, and what I teach in my retreat is like the multi-camera, one-woman show experience. And so I'm all about having more than one camera. If you only have one camera, you can make it work by just filming the same thing multiple times from different angles, and you can put that together. But there's a 3-second rule when it comes to video, and it comes down to the scientificness of what our eyes like to watch. And our eyes don't like staring at the same thing for longer than 3 seconds. So you never want to be at that same angle. So people who are only shooting with one camera and they're only shooting the top overhead, and things are just changing and jumping or speeding up, it's boring to watch. That's why you want to bring in that second camera so you can change. And anytime you change angles, you want to change by about 30%. So you want to make sure that there's a 30% difference between any of the angles that you're switching to. And you can also achieve that by zooming in and zooming out, but just a video of, again, just one angle isn't great. So I always recommend at least 2 angles. But yeah, if you're going to use a phone, I suggest putting the phone on top because the depth of field is not going to matter as much in an overhead shot as it is on a side shot. At the end of the day, you have to consider your niche as well. Like if you're a plumber and you're trying to make videos for YouTube or Facebook, the quality doesn't have to be great because none of your competitors have a great quality video. In the food, it's a little bit different. The quality on food videos is very high. So you kind of have to, in order to make a go of it, you need to be at a better quality. Craft videos are kind of in the middle. So it kind of depends on your niche. Travel videos, they're getting really like full blown epic movie style at this point to really compete. And so, so consider your competition, not necessarily as a way of competing, but just as where your niche needs to be in order to stand out and grow. But awesome. So definitely a better camera for that side angle to get that depth of field that you're looking for.
And do you edit all your own stuff?
I edit all my own YouTube stuff. I have an editor that I do for all my client work for the hands and pans stuff.
Awesome. Okay. You showed me a little bit before we started, but can you show me your setup? It's really cool. Yeah. She's going to do a little scroll around and show you how she has her whole studio here, guys.
All right. So this is where I'm always standing. And you can see right back there is my third light. So I recommend a 3-light setup. The first 2 lights are the most important though, if you only have 2. So this is kind of like the bonus light. And what this light back here does is it lights up your side and your halo, and it kind of it separates you from your backdrop. And so then in the front, so hold on, I'm going to step around so I can see this better. All right. So over here, this is my secondary light. It's a little bit further away and it's a little bit more faded. And over here, you can see it's closer and brighter. This is my main light. So up above, we have the overhead camera. Right. Over here, we have the side camera. And this is the only camera that I ever move. The top camera stays where it is at all times. My side camera is the one that I'll zoom in. I'll adjust the tripod. I'll bring it down to a lower angle or a higher layer. That's the only one I ever move. Everything else stays perfectly still where it is. So with the lighting, as you can see, this main light gives me shadows, and this further away secondary light fills in those shadows slightly. So I still don't look flat. Like makeup videos, they do the ring light and everything's glowing at the same amount and there is no shadow. But think about your food photography. There's a reason that we do it with a side light from the window coming in. You want shadows. Shadows show depth. They show that I'm not flat. They give me a more 3D look. And so that second one fills in so the shadows aren't as harsh, but it's not taking away the shadows completely. And then my front camera right over there, and then the TV screen that I look at where I can see all of my cameras and I can control the shots. I control the shots from my laptop. So that's the setup. And then I have 3 boom mics and a lav mic. So equipment. The first thing that I tell people to invest in, if you're going to start investing in anything, is actually audio, which seems counterintuitive. Most people think about the cameras first. But honestly, if your audio is good, the quality of your camera is not as important. If somebody goes over to YouTube and they go to a video, but they can't understand you or they can't hear you, the audio is bad, they're going to leave. And the second thing I say to invest in is lighting. It makes a huge difference, especially with something like food, where it's not necessarily the most, food's not actually appetizing a lot of the times. And so good lighting, of course, can make up for a lot of that. And good lighting, well, I know a lot of people are self-conscious. Good lighting will make you look better too.
Sure.
And then after you've invested in your audio and after you've invested in good lighting, then that's when I upgrade my cameras. And then if all of that is upgraded, then that's when I start buying toys and sliders and gimbals and all the fun stuff. But they're the last thing to get. And with the cameras, obviously good tripods.
What kind of good software would be a good thing for beginners to get when they're first starting out on video to do some editing for themselves?
That's one of the areas where at the end of the day, you're going to be so much happier with Premiere Pro or Final Cut Pro, where you can layer your videos and your audio and you can build on it. I know it's expensive. Final Cut's just a one-time price, which is great, but it only works on Macs. Premiere Pro is obviously a monthly charge, but it's so worth it. Now, I know that Adobe recently came out with a new Element version of Premiere Pro. I have not tried it, but I've heard really good things about it. And I know that that's much cheaper. I haven't even looked at the pricing for it, but I would recommend at least that because iMovie, it's kind of that pain point I was talking about. iMovie is just always going to be limiting in what you can do. And most of the free software that I know of, it's kind of the same way. And I don't like editing. That's where I want to spend the least amount of time. And so I want the better equipment for that so that I can more easily get through that point. Because it's something you already hate, and then it takes 3 times as long because it's such a pain point. That to me is not something that I want to spend time on. But if you don't mind the editing and you don't mind the pain point, you don't mind finding all the workarounds, obviously there's a ton of free options out there. But I'm really on the recommendation of a really good editing software because there's so many shortcuts. It can go so much faster. It's so much smoother. And honestly, it's worth my time to pay for that. With how much faster I can edit with it and how many options I have afterwards because like I said, with 6 different video outputs at the end of the day, I have ones for Instagram, IGTV, Square for Instagram, Square for Facebook, also Long for Pinterest. Like it's just, it makes it so much easier for me just to take that same video, change the size. For me, it's worth the pain point of paying for that.
Good to know. Good recommendation. Okay. So let's talk. We talked a little bit about hands and pans already, but let's talk a little bit more about it. So you were saying now that the 1-minute video, it's not working anymore. So how do you take a 3-minute hands and pans and expand that out and draw it out?
So when it comes to video, I said, there's the 3-second rule. You never want to go longer than 3 seconds for one shot. You also don't want to drag because a video that's just dragging is also exactly. So you can't just take the same video and make it go longer because people are still wanting that fast moving, fast pace on Facebook. Sure. So either a recipe that's more involved, like a cake and a frosting and a mousse and a decorating. Even with that, I get those to about 2.5 minutes. So it's hard to stretch that to 3 minutes. Like for me, when I'm trying to stretch something like that out to 3 minutes, it just feels like it's dragging and I can't stand it. I've seen a couple really well done ones, but really the ones that are working best are when you're doing multiple recipes in a video. And they're doing well because you still can get that fast pace. So you can do 2 different kinds of lasagna or 2 ways to use the same dough or 4 is a big one, right? Those 4 super easy things, but that hits 3 minutes. So I would make sure that you're continuing the pace. That's what's been working on Facebook, that fast moving, where it's really not telling the story. It's really a teaser of the recipe. But in order to get it to that longer 3 minutes, I would include more than one recipe or tweaks or twists or something that just change it so it can be used in multiple ways. Awesome. And what's been successful on Mediavine is taking, hey, I'm known for, pork. So it's good to do multiple pork videos. Like that's working in regards to Google as well, to have multiple recipes in your site that are related, and showing how you can do that is a great way to go.
100%. I love that you just brought that in, that SEO and creating video with SEO in mind when people are saying, I don't know what to film. Yes. Well, what's doing well for you? I think
exactly.
What are you good at?
Start with your most popular posts. Start with, when I consider what recipe I'm making a video from, one, I consider the platform first. Am I trying to teach this recipe or am I just trying to tease this recipe? And what's doing well on your blog, obviously, that's a huge one. Think about tentpole events. Holidays are always big. When it comes to Facebook, because Facebook is more about entertaining than education, what's a super crazy recipe, right? Like who puts mayonnaise in Jell-O? Wasn't that a thing last year that went crazy? A video like crazy does well. The things that are different do well. But also consider how it will look. Like for me, one of my cakes will always make a good video because they're so visual, but I don't get a lot of click through on my cake videos because that's the type of video that people love watching, but they don't actually care about learning about. So recipe videos do better for click throughs for me. But if it's a super easy recipe, like I want to say the banana pancakes, there was probably at one point 20 different videos on banana pancakes, but it's a super simple thing. Like none of the videos necessarily, the first one went viral, but after that, they didn't really do great. So also consider that if it's something that a ton of people have made a video on, why is yours going to do well, right? Yeah.
What are you contributing to the space that's different as opposed to,
What are you known for? What's different? What's engaging? What's pretty? I mean, at the end of the day, if you have great photography skills, you could have really good video skills too if you take those same principles that you're doing and bring them over. The one thing that I will warn people about is in photography, we can take that raw image and we can make it look amazing, even if the picture itself wasn't. But with videos, because it's so many frames per second, unless you're filming in, even when you're filming in 4K, you'll never get that same amount of control and ability to tweak a video the way you can a raw photo. So think about it more as a JPEG. Limit yourself into the expectations of the end product. So if you're a person who highly saturates your photography, you might not be happy with your video. So you need to remember that it's not going to have the same ability to edit. You want your videos to look as good straight out of camera as possible, because editing is a lot more limited when it comes to brightness and coloring. And so it's worth taking the time at the front end of things to get that good, again, lighting, a good camera. Make sure your settings are really good, because you can't just fix a bad video the way you can a bad picture.
Good to know. And that's going to be difficult from some of I'm sure from some of the greatest food photographers, because they do such great editing work with their pictures. So to come into film and have that total paradigm shift
is a little frustrating.
Yeah, because you take some amazing pictures too. So that's got to be, yeah. All right. So how do you make an evolution if you're already doing hands and pans? How do you make the leap to a long form, and what kind of content? I know that you talked about if we wanted to stay with hands and pans, just doing multiple hands and pans, but if you're wanting to actually do it and jump to long form, what do you suggest?
Well, really the best way for long form is a cooking show or a craft show, or, something where you're in it. And on the YouTube side of things, not only are they about being educated, they want to connect you. If anybody's been blogging for longer than 8 years, pre-Pinterest, they'll remember like when the audience came to you and was invested in you and they followed you on their Google Reader and they couldn't wait to see a new post. And YouTube is still a lot like that. So that's a great way to get super fans, and super fans like to buy whatever you say to buy. So it's also great on that side of things as well for affiliates and for working with brands and what you can offer them. Put yourself in the videos. It's the easiest way to go long. Teach something versus just show something. It's obviously that my videos on YouTube are like 20 minutes long, and they do great. My most popular videos are 20 minutes long on YouTube, with millions of views, so put yourself in the video. There's a couple different ways you can achieve this. Again, I use 3 cameras so that I can just film it once, because I'm not about to take a 7-day cake and make it a second time and film it again from another angle. So I want to capture every angle to begin with. But if you're limited on your cameras, you can do this you can film a hands and pans just the way you normally do. And then you can set one of your cameras up to be front facing, and then you can talk about the recipe. Do the intro. Hi, I'm Ashlee. Today I'm going to teach you how to make this, blah. And then you have the final product to show, and then talk about the video, talk through the video, and then do an end video as well. At the end, the call to action. If you love this, don't forget to subscribe, follow my page, blah. And then overlay those. And again, that's where a good editing program will come into play, because it's a lot easier to overlay audio and video when you have those layers, like you'll have a Final Cut and Premiere Pro. And I'm sure there's a couple other free ones out there. As videos getting more popular, there's a lot more editing options out there. I just don't know them all, because I've been Premiere Pro from the very beginning for me. And Premiere Pro and Final Cut Pro also have a lot more options and add-ons that you can get, which are also nice. Like I have add-ons for titles so that they move and do cool stuff like that. But so those main platforms have a lot more options on the other side of things as well.
And help with branding, I'm sure. Keeping your brand super specific, super clear, crystal. And that's something we advise, especially when you're doing sponsored posts and stuff, how you hold on to your own identity when you're doing work for other people.
Yeah. And like for me, my kitchen is now part of my brand, right? It's recognizable. I film all my videos in it, So yeah, the whole thing just kind of becomes more, and you're offering such a personal touch, and you're able to reach your readers in such a different way. So I'm all about the cooking show, the travel vlog that has you in it, the craft show where you talk about it. It's an easy way to get the length that you're looking for. It's an easy way to actually teach the principle a lot better and educate your audience, have a lot less questions on the other end. And it's awesome to offer. So yeah, one way is to film 2 separate things entirely. I would recommend when people do it that way, don't film yourself when you're filming your overlays, like sitting down in a couch. Sitting is not great for videos or for talking or for energy level. So one of the other reasons that I like filming myself at the same time that I'm cooking is that everything that's happening, I don't forget later. I won't have to go back into editing and being like, oh, I forgot to mention that I changed this or I did this, because it's all real time for me. It also makes it easier for me to do lives because my setup works for lives and edited videos. But yeah, so make sure that you're not sitting. If I was doing that style, I would still film myself in my kitchen, and I would still like go through the motions and pretend I was stirring a bowl, even if the bowl wasn't there. I would just crop it tighter so that they didn't see that it wasn't there, because people can tell. And while that works for a couple channels, my audience hated it. I tried it once and they were like, that was fake. You're not really making, like, they didn't like it. It works really well when you have like a full time crew and then afterwards they're reminding you about it. Like somebody who's really successful at that style is How to Cake It with Yolanda Gamp. But again, it's still hard to do by yourself. But that's an easy way to do it when you only have. I knew somebody who, for the beginning, she did what I do, but she took one camera and she just moved it every couple of minutes as she wanted to get these other shots. The danger of having just one camera and getting those shots is that if you're working with something like caramel, that it can only boil for a couple minutes and then it's done. And you need to do the next thing. If you have to stop and move your camera, like that can be a problem. Another good way to go is to make the recipe twice. To film one time from the top, one time from the side, one time from this side, but then you just have a lot of footage that you have to go through. The way that I do it now is I actually pick all my camera angles while I'm filming so that it makes my editing side of it go faster. I used to film on 3 different SD cards, and then afterwards I'd have all this footage to comb through, and that just took a lot longer. So now I have it all just record to one SD card, and I pick my camera angles while I'm recording. So that's awesome. Nice. But there are a lot of different ways. You could also just film an intro and just film an outro and then just do voiceover for the whole hands and pans side of thing. Again, that's not as successful. There are a couple channels on YouTube that have had success with that, but they started 5 years ago. It's a harder platform. It's a harder style to grow using, but it is a possibility. And for those people who are really nervous about it, it's a great intro. It's a great way to step into it. And it's a great way to lengthen those hands and pans video. If you have a video that you have like at 2 minutes and 2.5 minutes, and you need just a little bit of extra time to throw it over, throwing in an intro and throwing in an outro are a great way to get those with a recipe that maybe is a little simpler and you can't quite stretch to 3 minutes. So just adding those bookmarks or bookends, are a great way to go. And then start involving yourself more and more and more in the video until you feel more confident. Personally, I just jumped right in and did the whole, multiple cameras thing from the beginning. So I don't know any better. And I do still feel that is the way that's the most successful and easiest to grow on the YouTube platform.
Jump in.
But whatever you feel comfortable with, just pick one and start and then go from there. And your audience will tell you. Your audience will, we want more of you. Like I get comments, a decent amount of comments of too much of her. I just want to see the food. And they're just not my audience, because I get plenty of other people who then, when I do less of me and more of the food, they're like, where was the explanation? The reason we watch you is because you explain things. So you'll find, again, that same thing that you were just mentioning, you'll find your branding. So don't try to be me. Don't try to be, Yolanda. Don't try to be, Chef Dennis. Just find what works for you and how you feel comfortable explaining it. Because if you're comfortable filming a certain style, that will be so obvious to your audience. And when you're comfortable, they'll be comfortable and they'll want to watch longer. When you're uncomfortable, they can tell.
It's true. That's kind of the danger of it, for sure, is when you're live or when you're on film, they know. It's pretty clear. And speaking of live, Lindsay Ponta wants to know, she'd love to hear more about live if we have a chance to talk about it. So talk a little bit about live for me and how that's different and how you are incorporating that into your overall video strategy.
So the best part about live is that you don't have to edit anything afterwards. As someone who hates editing, I really do like the live.
We love live too.
It's because then once you're done, you're done. So it's a little bit more work up front because, like, let's say I'm making a dough and it needs to rise for 2 hours. Well, I need to make the first, the one dough 2 hours ahead of time, and then I have to film it live, and then the magic of TV. This dough is going to rise for 2 hours. Look, I have a dough already finished. And then you also want to have something if it needs to bake later. You don't want to do anything live that takes more than a couple seconds. Again, that 3-second rule. And so you need to have a lot more prep ahead of time, but then you don't have to edit on the back end. So I like that. Now I do my lives with my same setup. So I have a multi-camera live setup. I have this listed on my on vidretreat.com/video shop video equipment. I don't know. There's a tab on vidretreat.com that has all my equipment. And on it is something called Sling Studio that I highly recommend. You can have up to 4 cameras on it. You control the cameras with an app on an iPad. You can use a phone or an iPad as one of the cameras, and you have to buy little attachments that make your camera wireless that plug into your multi-port, and then so then your cameras will all wirelessly connect to, kind of like you saw on my TV screen. You pick your cameras and you can go live on Facebook or on YouTube on that platform. There's a couple of hacks that I've heard about where you can stream to both at the same time, but you have to pay for them. So I've never used those because my setup's actually totally different. But so I live stream to both Facebook and YouTube at the same time, multi-camera. And I like that versus just using a phone, one, because then I'm getting those changes and angles and I'm keeping people's interest because it's not, just me or just this for long periods of time, which tends to bore people. Let's face it, rewatching a live video tends to be boring unless it's something educational, Right. So by having those cameras to change angles, it works better for repeat watchers as well. And then you can get closer and you can see those angles better than and then you're not spending any of your time trying to adjust your phone as you're working with it. So, and it just looks more professional, and very few people are doing it. I'm one of the only ones. And so it's a great way to stand out when it comes to brands as well.
So talk to me about pitching brands with video and how that works for you. I know it's just a huge, did I ask a loaded question unintentional?
I haven't done anything sponsored in over a year and a half. So,
okay.
So yeah, I would love to do sponsored videos. I'm a terrible pitcher. It's one of my own personal hangups. It's just that thing that I'm great at video, not good at pitching. So if anybody out there wants to be my agent, I will pay you 25% of anything you bring me. Yeah, I would say a video immediately doubles the cost of whatever you're charging for on your blog. And that's just a Facebook style Mediavine, video. That's not including adding a whole platform with a whole nother audience. Depending on your Facebook size audience or your Instagram size audience or your YouTube size audience, you can actually up that a lot more. Like for YouTube, I'm offering a completely different audience that isn't a part of my blog because YouTubers don't read blogs and bloggers don't watch YouTube, or, like the audience don't really anymore. Each platform is its own pillar. They don't really cross over too much. And so you're not only offering video content for your blog, like that's one price right there. If you charge $1,000 for a blog post, you can probably charge about $2,000 with a video, and, throw that up on Facebook as well. But if you're offering also this millennial audience that's on YouTube, you can start upping that a lot more based on your views and your audience over there. Because then at that point you're selling, like I did just a YouTube video sponsored post. They didn't want a blog post. They didn't care about my blog audience. They were looking for the age and demographic that was on my YouTube channel. So I sold just that as well. So, but now I have a package where it's a blog post, a YouTube style educational video, and a Facebook, Instagram, Insta stories, Pinterest video, like it's the whole big ball of yarn and all those audiences combined, and can really get pricey. But yeah.
But they're getting a lot. They're getting a lot from you. Yeah, for sure. And there's a cost of production and there's a cost of your audience. That's what we talk about. And girl, we need to talk about pitching. We've talked about this before multiple times at conferences.
I've taken multiple pitching courses. Like it's now I'm like bright red. I'm really bad at it.
Okay, we're going to have coffee the next time.
Well, and to be fair, I film hands and pans for clients. And so I film 5 days a week. I don't necessarily have a lot of time to, if I have free time, I try to remember to put up a blog post.
Hey.
I have 30 videos filmed and edited and ready to go in a blog post. I just have to sit down and write the blog post.
But you focus your energy where you need to focus it. You're great at what you do.
So this is one of those do as I say, not as I do things. Pitch, make more money. Yes, it's a very good thing.
Do the thing. Money is good.
Do all the things. Well, and that's what it comes down to these days, right? Between Facebook and YouTube and Pinterest and being an expert in all these things, it really is hard to do it all. So yeah, I'm a big believer in side hustles because it's what's supported my family for the last 2 years and allowed me to do what I do. But yeah, I'm all about bartering too. If somebody's great at pitching and they want to be my pitch artist and I'll make them videos, let's do it.
You heard it here, folks. We are making deals. We are wheeling and dealing here on Teal Talk.
I think it's great for bloggers to do that. Bloggers who are great at Pinterest to trade with bloggers who are great at Instagram, or to, because we can't all be experts in everything. And for somebody else for me, it doesn't take me as long to make a hands and pan video anymore. I have a system down. I have the equipment down. Like, why should everybody who's not necessarily interested in doing it themselves go out and do that? Like, it's great that we have all these people who can offer all these extra things now. So we just need to be better at bringing it all together.
Well, there's so many things and it changes so fast. It's really challenging to stay on top of all of it. And the thing that was working last week is not necessarily going to work for you this week. So
yeah. So if you're not really ready to jump into video, are a ton of people offering videos. I would, I know that's not what this is about, but if you are looking to hire out videos, I recommend making sure that you really look at the quality of the video at the end of the day. Just because somebody can do it for cheaper and faster doesn't necessarily mean that that they have the same understanding of video and speed and what's working. And it doesn't mean the videos are going to do as well. I've had a lot of my clients leave because I am on the more expensive side and then come back and having even refilm stuff that they had other people film because the person just didn't understand. So just because somebody says they can do video, I would definitely look at the videos that they're putting out, how the videos are doing that they're putting out, their understanding of what's working on the platform, and if they're really helping grow their clients' pages. My clients have grown their pages by the millions. So that speaks for itself versus maybe somebody who's just putting out video to put out video. It's not the same thing. Not all videographers are of the same caliber. So I would recommend not just going for cheap. Consider one video that's done better than 3 videos that's done cheaply.
And use your blogger groups and ask. Yes. And the thing about it is, if you're worried about somebody saying, well, why are you asking about me? They shouldn't be worried about it. Ashlee just said she's got absolutely zero shame in being like, this is the results. This is what I did. Really do your due diligence, get the research done, and get your money's worth, Okay. Tanya Harris Fleming Esquire wants to know, where do you store all of that footage that you have, all of those gajillion amounts of footage that you have?
Yeah, for clients, I only keep the footage for 60 days. So that's constantly going away. I keep all of my clients' final videos just in case something happens on their end, but I don't keep the footage to make edits after 60 days. I have 16 terabytes of storage on my computer. Yeah. So I never
That's where she keeps it, y'all.
I never throw away any video footage. I have a cloud backup for all of that 16 terabytes as well, just in case, because you never know. I have a channel that I consulted with for a while, and after they put up the video, they deleted all the footage because they didn't want to invest in a ton of storage, which I understand. It can be expensive. But then I'm like, later, what if you want a vanilla pour and you missed a vanilla pour? And I know I have a great vanilla pour over here. Or what if somebody comes to you and says, hey, we really like, and this happens a lot on the YouTube side of things. We really liked your footage. We want to buy it from you, but we need the better quality, or we need the raw, or we need to lengthen this. Or like when I first started, I was just editing for YouTube. And now that I'm going back and I'm making Facebook style videos and Pinterest style videos, like I can't tell you how often I go to my old footage and readjust it or re-pull it or recreate it for what's working now. Because a lot of my footage I'm not going to redo. I'm just going to refilm the video because it's so bad and so old. But there's been a lot of times that I've gone, okay, this still works. Facebook's just different now, and I'm going to take the same video and make it a little longer or tweak it a little bit or add a voiceover and put it on YouTube. So I am a big in keeping all of your footage. But it is easy. And I don't film in 4K. It takes a lot more energy for your computer to edit in 4K, and then editing becomes really, really slow. Uploading becomes really, really slow. And even though YouTube claims that they favor videos with 4K, I haven't seen any proof of that. So HD is good enough right now. Again, if I was filming in 4K, it would be easier to get those color corrections and that brightness corrections on the editing side of things, but it takes up so much more storage, so much more time editing, so much more time uploading. I've just chosen for now, it's not worth it. When at some point it does become more of that norm, that's going to be a hard pain point. But for now, and that's another reason I don't like filming with phones, because so many phones just film in 4K now, but their 4K still can't compete. Like even though it's 4K and it takes up more room, and then it also takes up more processing power when you're editing, it's still not as good a quality as a good HD camera. So, but yeah, no.
Excellent
yeah,
advice.
A lot of room.
It does take a lot of room. All right. So do you embed YouTube videos into your posts, or are you taking advantage of Mediavine's video options?
I embed my YouTube videos. For me, growing my YouTube is my priority. Although, again, the YouTube audience and the blog reading audience are different. And so even though Google likes that I'm putting videos in my post, my audience isn't necessarily always watching those YouTube videos from my blog post. At one point, 30% of my YouTube views were from my blog. But at this point, it's kind of tipped the other direction. And now only like 8% of my YouTube video views are from my blog. But no, I do embed. I do embed that video there. It's but I do 6 versions of my videos, right? And so I do also then take the shorter version that I've made for Facebook, and I do upload it to Mediavine to make the money there as well. So
good. So you're a double dipper. I was going to say, Ashlee, I was going to get you, and I was going to make you get off the live and go upload your videos to your dashboard.
No, I'm a double dipper. I have a lot of videos on dashboard. I just, the YouTube one, I'm playing with it right now. I have a couple of posts where I've embedded the YouTube one in my recipe card, and I just threw the Mediavine code down at the bottom of the post. So it's still auto playing for desktop users, but mobile users probably won't really see it. And then I've also tried the other way, putting the YouTube one above the recipe card and putting the Mediavine one in the recipe card. And so I haven't done it for long enough. Don't have that many versions of enough of my videos to really say this one's better, this one's not. So I'm still playing with that one.
All right.
I don't know. Does Google prefer the Google YouTube one in the recipe card? I don't know. I haven't noticed any clear winning side on that one.
I wonder if Eric Hochberger has anything to weigh in on that. He might comment.
I asked in the group a couple months ago, and nobody really had anything yet. So, but as things,
I think everyone's kind of testing around and seeing, to see what it's going to end up being. All right, well, we'll see if he's lurking. He usually is. Okay. So YouTube, second largest search engine in the world, as you've already said, and you have really prioritized your YouTube channel and the growth of that channel. How do you succeed on YouTube? A lot of people really find it. I mean, and I know that you're not just going to be able to be like, in a nutshell, succeeding.
No,
in
I
YouTube.
can.
No.
I can totally in a nutshell. I can.
Yes.
100% uploading 3 times a week, consistently, never missing a day. That will grow YouTube, period. So
regardless of what, any of it, just do it. You guys, please say that you wrote that down. Uh-oh. Eric Hochberger said he's lurking, but he lost the internet. Uh-oh. Okay, so he didn't see the question.
Yeah, I mean, I know that's not what people want to hear. I would say if you want to commit to YouTube, and that is something that you want to grow, and I recommend it, I really do. You're not going to grow YouTube by being an occasional YouTube uploader. That will be a place that you're holding videos to upload to your blog, but it is not about YouTube growth at that point. YouTube really heavily prioritizes frequent uploaders. Like every platform, the more consistent you are, the better. I uploaded it when I first started YouTube. I uploaded 3 times a week for 3 months. And then my kids got out of school for the summer, and I got 5 kids, and I'm in the middle of a 2.5-year divorce. And so I couldn't maintain that schedule with everything that I had going on. So I went to once a week, and I still grew. And that was 3.5 years ago. And once a week was still a good speed. And then vloggers took off, and like any change that happens, it affects everybody, even if that's not your niche. And so then YouTube is really rewarding daily uploaders for a long time there. And then last year, Elsagate happened, and vloggers kind of had a little hiccup and lost a lot of their power, so to say. And YouTube has also recognized that the daily uploaders weren't necessarily the quality that they were looking to push. So now really the reward is happening. I would say 3 times a week is the sweet spot. It really is, from everybody that I've seen and from research that I've done and from everybody I consulted with and other channels that I've helped grow. 3 days a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, pick one, upload at the same time, be really, really consistent. That will grow, period. 2 times a week is a minimum for decent growth, and 1 time a week is a minimum for just pretending you're a YouTuber. And I say that because that's where I'm at still. Like, I have never, with everything else going on in my life, I have not been able to get past that, once a week. And I actually took the last 9 months completely off YouTube. And I can show you in my analytics, I can throw you in channels that I've consulted with, because I've taken more of that side of things on last year. Yeah, 3 times a week if you really want to power through. Twice a week is what I would say to make your goal. And once a week, it'll do it, but it'll do it at a much slower pace.
Sure.
So.
All right. Well, you heard it. That's what you got to do if that's what you want to do. And you can do the lives for that. You can do, it doesn't all have to be the top high quality at this point, and you can be growing.
Yeah.
And
My goal is to do lives on Tuesday and upload on Saturday. So I'm doing one of each. YouTube really, just like Facebook, favors lives. They don't do great long-term. They're not as evergreen as the edited style. So I would suggest doing a mixture of both. An edited on Saturday and a live on Tuesday or something around that will be a great way to grow. You'll have those once a week edited versions. That's going to be the evergreen content that's going to keep your channel going. And you'll have the lives that will give you those little mini boosts from YouTube, even though they don't quite have the staying power of the edited ones.
Awesome. Okay, just revisiting the Mediavine uploads versus the YouTube uploads. You know, Ashlee, that you can connect your YouTube channel to the Mediavine, and you can then have a subscribe button. You know that is a thing,
yes,
right?
I have that.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay, let's put that tip in the comments so we can make sure that everybody knows how to do that. That you can have a subscribe.
But now
button.
I have the player that keeps going, so I don't know when that comes up anymore. Now with the up next, I don't know where you would ever see that subscribe button anymore.
I think it still should. I think it still should play, but I'm gonna see if I can get an answer on that.
It plays now. Yeah. So
yeah, let me ask about that. I'll ask
people not using it up next, although I don't know why you wouldn't. But for people not
using it up next,
I would say use it for sure.
Yeah, for sure. I'm gonna ask and see if anyone can answer that. Maybe Eric, if he got his internets back. Okay, so let's talk a little bit more. So 3 times a week is the YouTube sweet spot. If you want to really focus and learn on YouTube, do you have any great resources that people can go recommend? I mean, in addition to your course, which we've already posted about and you've shared, which is awesome.
My retreat. And I actually have a $200 discount code for all Mediaviners for my retreat this year. So just use the code Mediavine, and that'll work until tickets sell out. But we keep it small, so it's only 12 people tops, but 10's our goal. So YouTube is a great way to learn more about YouTube. I really recommend Daryl Eves has a great channel for YouTube. Tim Schmoyer has a great channel for YouTube. Hold on, I actually have a list of channels that I recommend. There's one other one, but the name's new, so I'll look it up. But yeah,
while we're pausing,
Daryl Eves and Tim Schmoyer for sure are 2 channels that I recommend as a great place to learn about YouTube. They keep it up to date. They upload multiple times a week. You can always get the latest and greatest for what's working on YouTube there. You just have to remember to personalize it for your own niche. Like not everything that they say is going to apply to YouTubers that are doing food versus YouTubers who are doing vlogging versus YouTubers, so make sure to know your niche well enough to know what to take and what to leave behind.
Sure. Eric said that your subscribe button for YouTube shows up during your Up Next dialogue. So that is still playing while you're using Up Next. We're still growing that YouTube. So continue with the double dipping, everybody. You want to make the monies from Mediavine and grow your YouTube subscription.
For sure.
Always.
Do not limit yourself.
No. Okay. How do you write great search-worthy descriptions for your videos?
Just like blogging. Honestly, this is so much of blogging and YouTubing crosses over. Really think about your Pinterest descriptions. So with YouTube, the description box is actually 3,000 characters. So you have a lot of room for the description there.
Yeah.
But most people never click the description box open. So they only ever see those first 3 lines. So when it comes to YouTube, your title and those first 3 lines of your description are the most important. And just like you're doing your SEO keyword research for your blog, you take those same exact keywords and you use them in the title and description. So YouTube actually uses for their search algorithm, the title, the description, and your closed captioning, your transcription of the video itself when it comes to searching and doing search results. They also have kind of like a keyword section. They have the tags. Although YouTube itself doesn't care about the tags, and it's very low on what they're actually using for showing search results. The tags help with the related video at the end of a video. So just like Mediavine's talked about with the blog, and if one pork chop recipe is working for you, do another pork chop recipe is working for you. Do the same thing with your video tags. Use those same tags, and that will interconnect those videos, and you'll have a better chance of getting your own video as the next related video, which will keep people watching your videos, and which also helps your channel grow and helps YouTube see, oh, they're an authority in this and stuff like that. So tags aren't important for like that first result, but it is important for those related videos. But the title and the description are where you want to spend, and the first 3 lines of your description is where you want to spend most lines. The other big thing that people hate hearing, they hate hearing upload 3 times a week, and they really hate hearing this. Don't link to your blog on YouTube. The YouTube algorithm 100% favors time on platform. If you're the video that they come to YouTube to watch, you're the first video, you get credit for the session watch time, which is the most important thing to YouTube. That's how long the person's on platform. If you're the video that somebody's been watching YouTube for 5 hours, if you're the video they leave on because they click over to your blog, you get a ding. So I actually include my full recipe in my video description. And I don't recommend linking off. Now, once you're huge, you can link anywhere you want and it doesn't matter. But while you're trying to grow on YouTube, up until the point that you hit like 250,000 subscribers, I would recommend not linking off. Now, my first videos, of course, I linked off. So depending on which video you look at of mine, you will see some of this. I'm even at the point that I'm not linking to my social media, like any of it. So in the YouTube description, you can just write ashleemarie.com and it won't link to it. You have to include the HTTPS information for it to become a workable link. So you can put things in like, this recipe is also on my blog in printable form, blah, blah, blah. But if somebody is watching YouTube and they open another tab, even if they leave this open, but while they're watching a video, they open another tab, that still counts as ending the session. If somebody is watching YouTube and they're typing something over here, that also ends the session. Like even if they're not clicking off you, what they're really looking for are people who are zombied in on watching YouTube. So session watch time is the most important. Video watch time is the most important. So the only thing I link to within my videos is more YouTube videos. And it doesn't even have to be my YouTube video. I create playlists on YouTube that are all just mine, but I also I only have one Tamatoa cake. So I created a Moana playlist and I linked to a bunch of other Moana based cake videos. And that playlist actually can rank just like a video can rank within YouTube. So having a good playlist that people want to watch and keeps people, again, on platform watching more videos, you'll still get credit for being the video or the playlist that brought them onto the platform. So on YouTube, there's a lot more of share the wealth. You don't have to keep it so insular. You don't have to be like only linked to my videos. Right. If there's somebody who's doing a great isomalt video, I would totally link to that and create a playlist. I have a playlist of isomalt flowers, right? And people who are going, I'm interested in learning this technique, they can go to other videos. I don't have to be the end all for them to keep them on platform and to make YouTube happy with me.
And that's one of the only things you said that is kind of different from a blog in a counterintuitive way, that you want to keep, instead of keeping people on your site, you just literally want to keep people on YouTube.
Yeah, that's really what it's all about. Now, granted, if they watch more of my videos, I'll get all of those video watch times as well. But no, just being the person who brings them to YouTube and they stay on YouTube for a while is going to give you a huge bonus on the YouTube's algorithm side of things.
Okay, so we're running out of time, so I'm going to have our last question, which is sad to me. I'm going to have your last question, Ashlee, be if people want to start videos other than just starting, what is the one thing they can do today? So I'm going to have that be your question. And you can take a second to think about it.
That's always the thing I say is just start.
I know. I took it you already said it. Yeah. I can give you a second to think.
I know, right? That's a hard one, because at the end of the day, that's all that really matters is to just pick a platform. Just pick one platform. Pick a style. Just pick one style. You don't have to be a video expert right off the bat. If you, this kind of goes along with the same thing of just start. But,
sure.
Don't try to be the 6 video expert to begin with. just try to be a one video expert. Just pick one style. Like the easiest one I would say is Instagram. Because Instagram, you don't even have to have the full recipe video like on Facebook, the hands and pans. The thing that Instagram really likes, and again, each platform has their thing, is the porn shots, the food porn, the pour of the chocolate, the Cricut cutting 5,000 things, the drawing, like they like those hypnotic, repetitive things. So if you're just making a recipe and you're filling cupcakes with a filling, record filling the cupcakes, record frosting the cupcakes, record something that's repetitive and put it out there. That's not even a full recipe. That's not even a full craft project. That's not even just those hypnotic, repetitive things, and create a couple of those and put them out there. Oh, I know what I want my thing to be. I think by speaking, I have to blabber for a while to get it.
Sames.
And now I lost it. Because then I have to
explain. Oh, no.
I know, right?
It'll come back.
Okay. It's back. My biggest advice for people, and part of this is just the getting started part, is to set up your equipment and film yourself with no intention of putting it out there. Especially when you're I'm talking about filming yourself. We're not all confident in our bodies, in the way we look. We're not all confident in our teaching abilities. So set up that front camera, add a screen so you can see yourself. And as you're making dinner for your family, don't even necessarily record it. Just turn the camera on so you can see it. Or if you don't have a screen where you can see it, record it so you can watch it later. And just start explaining as you cook. With no intention of putting the video out in any way, shape, or form. You don't have to put on your makeup. You don't have to worry about your clothes. You don't have to worry about wearing a bra. Just do it and watch yourself and start to notice those things where you can be better. I always said, all right, so. I can't tell you how many times I've had to edit out, all right, so. But it also gave me the confidence with just filming myself being like, you know what? I don't look that fat, or I don't look that bad, or I didn't stutter that much, or dang, I do know what I'm talking about. That sounded kind of legit. And it also gets you used to cooking and talking at the same time. And just do that for a couple weeks. Start with something like a brownie mix, right? Not even a recipe on your blog. Just make a brownie mix and explain what you're doing just to get those confidence skills. Because I would say that's probably the thing that most people are lacking the most, especially with so many people being confident with the hands and pans videos. Getting that confidence level of putting yourself on camera is going to be that thing. I don't even hate the sound of my own voice anymore. I mean, I don't like it, but I'm so used to editing it from myself.
I'm not going to go to sleep listening to my own voice as I labor, but it doesn't make me want to like gouge out my ears.
Yeah, and I'm just used to it now. I don't see all the imperfections in my body and in my voice, and I'm just like, yeah, that sounded good. I taught something there. That's great. That was the tip that I needed, or whatever. And let it become kind of old hat and get comfortable with that. Because once you're comfortable again with yourself being on camera, it will show in the actual end video. So just film yourself doing nothing and just get used to that side of things, and that will help you step into actually filming yourself teaching something. So kind of like that's the little kiddie jumping board. Film with no expectation, and then work your way up to the braver, larger jumping into the pool. But yeah.
That was awesome advice. This has been an amazing hour. You've crammed so much in. I'm so appreciative of you being here. I'm so glad this was our last Teal Talk of 2018. Thank you so much, everybody, for coming along for this ride. We didn't know that the lives were going to work out. We did the summer live. We did Teal Talk, and we're just so glad that you guys are here with us. And we appreciate you spending an hour with us today. Ashlee, thank you again so much for being with me. It's been wonderful. And happy holidays to everyone. Happy New Year. And we will see you back with Teal Talk in 2019. We've got some exciting stuff planned. Have a great day, everyone.